In this video, we want to share the tips on making the best possible coffee using a cheap home espresso machine like this one. We picked DeLonghi Dedica as it is a very affordable espresso machine you can get at around 150 euros. If you have it already or plan on buying it, we will share some tips and tricks to make best possible coffee out of it. When you look at Dedica, it's small and frankly quite pretty espresso machine that fits nicely on most kitchen counters. It has a water tank that fits around 1 liter of water, portafilter with pressurized filter basket, 3 control buttons, a steam wand with hot water dispenser, and a switch on-off control. Unlike automatic espresso machines, 2 things make using it a little more complicated but also more fun. First, you need to have an external grinder, which is essential to brewing tasty coffee, yet it adds to the budget or you will depend on pre-ground coffee. Second, it's quite simple to use it, but there are more steps than just pressing a button. You need to dose the coffee, put it into a portafilter, temp it, control the dose. You need to learn some basic barista skills. Okay, so let's make coffee now. We will start with a simple routine with pre-ground coffee, and then we will progress towards more sophisticated barista routine that yields nice tasting espresso using specialty coffee beans. So this was super simple method how to make espresso with pre-ground coffee, but now we will show you more advanced technique. We will need a scale to weigh our coffee and coffee beverage, whole bean specialty coffee to get better experience, and a high quality hand grinder. So now we pre-weighted 11.5 grams of coffee. In espresso grinding, which is very fine, sometimes the coffee gets sticked on the grinder, so I'm gonna use 11 grams for brewing the espresso. Why 11 grams? Every portafilter has a different size. When you grind the coffee, temp it in the portafilter and put it inside the machines. Inside, if you lock it, the coffee shouldn't be touching the group head. So after you do this, when you take out the portafilter, the coffee grounds should be dry and clean and shouldn't be broken or shouldn't be wet from the group head. If it's touching the group head, this should never happen and you need to decrease the amount of the coffee. Let's grind our coffee. I'm using a hand grinder, which is a very high quality grinder that you can use for espresso, but you can also use different grinders or electric grinders. The important thing is that the grinder is able to grind very fine for the espresso preparation. If the grinder cannot grind fine for espresso, you end up with a coffee that's flowing too quickly and it will become under-extracted, watery and sour. So let's grind. Nice, the coffee is ground. One more thing we will do. We are using a specialty coffee that is roasted for espresso, but still it's much lighter roast than pre-ground on very dark roasted coffee. For brewing and achieving higher extraction and better taste, we need to preheat the machine so it's as hot as possible. So first, we will just rinse it with hot water. Okay. Now the portafilter is wet, and if we would put the coffee inside, it would start preparing. It would touch the water and the extraction would start, so we need to dry it nice and clean. We'll put the portafilter on the scale. This is a little guy who will help us to get all the coffee inside the portafilter and not everywhere around. Now I tear the scale just to check our 11 grams. Put the coffee inside. And we have a little bit more, so I'll just take a tiny bit. There we go, 11 grams. Why it's important to know how much coffee you use? Because if you want to change something while brewing and the coffee flows very quickly or slowly, Sometimes it can be that you use more and less grams because this measurement is the volume measurement. But the different coffee you use or different grind this coffee is, you will always have different amount of the grams. So once you can weigh 7 grams, it will be full. The second time it will be the same, but it will weigh 8 grams. So the more precise measurement is using scale. That way you will always have the same amount of the coffee. And if you need to change the brewing time, you will adjust the grinder. So we'll level up the coffee, try to have the same amount of the coffee everywhere. So when we temp it, we had the same extraction on every point of the coffee bed. I use this temper, but of course you can probably find on internet something nicer. This is a bit clumsy, but it works. So just insert, straight, level up, and then medium pressure, press the beans. You don't need to use so much pressure, just like medium pressure. Take it out, clean. So let's try. As you could notice, straight after I insert the portafilter, I pressed the button. It's the best practice to start brewing as soon as possible. In the beginning, the coffee is flowing very slowly. Maybe it takes a few seconds after it starts dripping. That's all right. And the whole extraction time will be around 25 seconds. So there is our espresso using 11 grams of freshly ground specialty coffee. We have 30 grams of the beverage in the cup, and the extraction time was 25 seconds. Nothing else than to taste it. It smells quite fruity and cherry-like. Okay. Oh, it's quite surprisingly sweet. There is a little bit higher acidity maybe, but that's still drinkable. It has cherry notes, chocolate notes. The body is somewhere between espresso and lungo, quite pleasant and definitely better than pre-ground coffee. Now we're gonna make cappuccino, making the same espresso, only this time we use a larger cup. So let's make a cappuccino now. The espresso is ready. Here is our fresh whole fat milk. You need the whole fat milk to make a microfoam, to have enough proteins and fat. It's good to use the amount you will need for the cappuccino, not more and not too little, because then the foam will stand in the end and you will have foam everywhere. So a bit more milk than you need into the cup. Before we start steaming the milk, we have to switch on the steam button. Without it, we will have hot water coming out of the steam vent. So we switch it on, wait a couple of seconds, and now, before we start, we will release the hot water that's condensated inside the steam wand. So just by starting the handle for a little bit, we release the hot water, switch it off, and now we'll use only dry air to steam the milk. Of course, it takes a bit longer because this machine doesn't have such power like professional machines. That's also why we don't steam the milk while we brew espresso. First we do espresso, then we steam the milk. So here is our foam. It's not difficult to make it. Actually, it's easier, and you have to be careful not to overdo it and get too much foam, which we have now a bit more for the latte art, but we will make it work. Okay, let's see what we can do, because we have a bit more foam than we would need, but go. Okay, I'm not a cappuccino guy, but this tastes pretty nice. It has nice creamy texture. There is a bit more foam. It's a bit more foamy than it should be, but I think it's pretty enjoyable and I would love having this at home or at someone's visit. Now I want to show you a couple of upgrades. First one is concerning the espresso. DeLonghi uses pressurized portafilter. This allows you for more mistake in grinding, or if you have cheaper grinder, it will allow you to make a drinkable espresso. But if you want to take your experience even higher, you can use a portafilter like in professional cafes, which is not pressurized. This will allow you to extract more flavor and get higher quality from your espresso. So we are gonna brew with a bottomless portafilter, and we are gonna use 16.5 grams. By using more coffee, we will again should achieve espresso of a higher quality. So let's try. Also, you can buy better temper that's 51 millimeters in diameter. Wow, the aroma is so much more complex. This is actually like really nice espresso. I'm surprised, honestly. It has better body, more sweetness, more complexity, and more layers in the flavors. It's really nice, and with a good grinder, it's a no-brainer to get a bottomless portafilter that is non-pressurized to get a much higher quality in your espresso. Now let's jump to the second tip that will be focused on the latte art and milk steaming. To get better milk texture, which will allow you to make better latte art as well, there are two options. One is you can buy extra steam ones from Rancilio, which costs again around 30 euros. You need a little bit of the technical skills, but it shouldn't be so complicated to take the machine apart and change the steam wand. With the Rancilio steam wand, you will get much more control and power into the steaming. The second option that costs you zero is to just take out the metal part of the steam wand on the DeLonghi, and you can use only the plastic one that's attached here. It's much better for steaming, although you need a little bit of the practice, but the result is better microfoam and better latte art. This cappuccino has definitely much better texture and much better microfoam, although it is harder to achieve it when you are not using this metal part. You have to control and put same amount of the air, and you have to do it slowly and with patience to get a better microphone, but in the end you will achieve definitely better quality than using this thing. And if you practice enough, you are definitely gonna have a better latte art than me easily. Overall, Dedica is definitely great looking home espresso machine. It comes at very affordable price. You can brew pretty good espressos and learn how to work around the manual espresso machine while practicing basic barista and latte art skills. Of course, Dedica has its limits. It will not allow you to extract perfectly light roasted specialty coffees, mainly because of lower power and lower temperature, but still, To improve the performance, there are a few upgrades that will help you achieve much better results for both espresso and milk steaming. Thanks for watching, guys, enjoy your coffee and see you next time!